Mil Magov, Douglas, while I'm a Wakas a Horchla, Éirígí Leishan Curlu Shaw, her son Misha, Persanta August, our son, and Caird Common Independent Workers Union August Boait Lumakaj Wakas Ara. Thank you for inviting me, thank you personally, and thank you on behalf of the Independent Workers Union. It's an honour to be here today and a real pleasure to see such a fine crowd gathered around here to commemorate James Connolly. Connolly, great James Connolly. 92 years have passed since you were taken, painful, bleeding and sore, from your prison cell in Kilmainham jail and carried by British soldiers down to the Stonebreaker's yard, placed in a chair before a British Army firing squad and shot to death. Practically a century has passed since James Connolly left us. Connolly, almost a century dead, but your spirit lives on and you remind us of where we have been and what we have to do. Connolly remains with us. James Connolly is not just a token of the past. James Connolly is not just a historic icon. James Connolly is as alive and powerful now as when he walked the streets of this town or through this country. James Connolly's life was and is an inspiration to Republican socialists. James Connolly's teachings were and remain a lesson, and an insightful lesson at that, for us to this very day. Connolly's spirit provides us with a challenge, not just to remember the past, but to look at today and to challenge the future. Connolly, the man who, among everything else, the revolutionary socialist, the trade unionist, and the man who by his writings, by his teaching, by his life and death, put labour into Irish history and into the Irish present. Connolly, we know, was a Republican socialist. He was a socialist Republican. Beyond that, and as well as that, James Connolly was also a scientific socialist. James Connolly was steeped in the theory and practice of the teachings and writings of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. He was not someone who aspired to socialism. He lived and believed in socialism. He wished to see a socialist republic, but it was not a wishfulness. He dreamed of a socialist republic, but he was not a dreamer. He desired a socialist republic, but he did not simply hanker after a socialist republic. Connolly knew, Connolly understood, because he was a scientific socialist, that it is not enough to talk about a republic. Connolly was determined and practiced throughout his life to define the republic he wished to see. Just as his forebears, just as those who talked of republicanism for the first time on this island, the United Irishmen over 2 centuries ago in Belfast, where it come to first, said we want a republic along French lines. And 2 centuries ago that was a socially progressive idea. Because that said, we do not want just any republic. We do not want the type of a republic that is across the ocean in America, where there are landlords and where there are slaves. But we want a French republic where the aristocracy meets a just and deserved end on a guillotine. James Connolly talked, breathed and lived for a socialist republic. A socialist republic that is as necessary today, obviously, as ever it has been. It may seem far away, but that is not what we have to look at. We have to look at what we must do, the task in front of us, the challenge that Connolly and all the other Republican socialists have laid out in front of us. We have to keep in mind and we have to bear in mind that socialism does not come by the gift of a few. Socialism is something that does not come as if it was an eruption under the ground. One day we don't have it and the next day by some mystery of geography or geology that it comes about. Socialism is something that we work for, we build, and we have to create the fundamentals and the platform and the outline of socialism and the mechanisms of socialism even before we take state power. Socialism is a question of organising the working class and allowing the working class to see the benefits and the need and the urgency for socialism. That is what socialism entails. It is not a gift from on high. It's not in the gift of a handful. It is the gift that the working people take for themselves. It is a socialist and scientific doctrine. It is an economic philosophy that has a rationale and an understanding. And as such, it is incumbent on us, as previous speakers have said here, to create the organisations that will bring that about. One of the first and most urgently required organisations of the working class, and there are several, but first and foremost the working class needs to be organised at the point of production and where it meets with exploitation in the workplace. The working class requires organisation into an organised labour movement and within the trade union movement. Because if it does not find itself organised there, it will find it impossible to organise into a more refined political organisation to seize political power. We need organised labour, and we need it organised. It is the task, and that was a task that the great James Connolly identified, understood and practised when he helped form the Irish Transport and General Workers Union, which will be 100 years ago next year. Connolly understood and saw that. Socialism, he said, is the delivery of the working people. Trade unionism is not the be-all and the end-all. Connolly himself said that. Every other socialist of the radical left will say that. But it is an essential and necessary component of bringing about the working class to power. It is necessary to demonstrate the very fundamentals of what a socialist republic is about. It is about the communalisation of society. There are two ways that we can look on society and how it is organised. It can be organised like a jungle, and that is what we have at present. A savage jungle of neoliberalism, where the strongest and the brightest, the most ruthless, the most evil and the most greedy grab, steal and take what is out there, and the others can do for whatever they can make with what is left. That is capitalist neoliberalism. A more civilised, a more appropriate, a more humane organisation of society says that we organise communally and that we understand the need for communal living. Call it communism if you like, and I'm not afraid to say that, and that's the ultimate objective. But people have to come to realise the benefits of that, and the benefit and the need for communal organisation. That an injury to one is an injury to all. That the benefit of one is the benefit of all. That they must organise and understand through their day-to-day organisation that we cannot take quick advantage of one another. That by taking quick advantage, by taking unfair advantage of what gifts we have, we are denying to someone else what we have taken from them. Because that's the essence of neoliberal capitalism, of the competitive spirit of which we hear so much. It is the ruthlessness of the jungle. Civilization, humanity deserves something better than that. And that's what James Connolly told us about.